Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material and extract the most important nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into the historical and cultural landscape of Arabia just before a pivotal spiritual message arrived. Our mission really is to immerse ourselves in the world into which the Prophet Muhammad was born, setting the stage for one of history's most profound transformations.
Absolutely. And to genuinely appreciate the monumental shifts that came later, we really need to grasp that foundational context. The sources we're exploring, they paint a picture of a complex society, right? Rich with its own intricate structures, deeply held values, and, well, some significant challenges.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our sources take us back over 1,400 years. Arabia, 6th century. What's the first thing that jumps out? How was society organized? Was there a central government?
It's fascinating, actually. No single unified government controlling the whole peninsula, not at all. Instead, society was fundamentally built around tribes. These were incredibly tight-knit units, fiercely protective, bound by this intense loyalty known as asabiya. Now, that loyalty gave protection identity.
But it also caused problems.
Exactly. That very loyalty often spiraled into these endless cycles of conflict and revenge between different groups, your tribe. I mean, it was everything. Your name, your safety, your whole place in the world.
And the land itself, it sounds incredibly challenging. Harsh deserts, right. But with scattered oases in towns like Mecca, Yathrib, Taif.
Oh, definitely. A very tough environment, which, probably reinforced those tribal bonds. People had to rely on each other to survive.
Forge resilience, I imagine.
For sure. Resilient people, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that harshness, that constant struggle, it shapes a culture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Understanding that reliance on kin is crucial context.
Okay, so among these towns, Mecca, you mentioned Mecca.
Yes, Mecca really stood out. The sources highlight it pretty clearly as both a spiritual and an economic hub, a major center.
And the Kaaba was right there at its heart. It's interesting, isn't it, that this structure, so central to Islam today, was already revered way back then.
That's right. Long before Islam, the Kaaba was a focal point for the whole region. But it was filled with idols, hundreds of them apparently.
Idols from different tribes across Arabia.
Exactly. It acted as a kind of pan-Arab sanctuary. It drew pilgrims, fostered this shared, though polytheistic, sense of reverence. But Mecca wasn't just about idols and pilgrimage. It was a huge center for trade.
Ah, the trade. The Quraysh tribe, the Prophet's tribe, they were skilled merchants, weren't they?
Incredibly skilled. The sources talk about these extensive caravan routes, moving between Yemen, way down south, and the Levant up north.
So connecting major regions, basically, linking places like the Byzantine markets with Yemen.
Precisely. And this wasn't just local stuff. It was significant international trade for the time. And that brought immense wealth to Mecca.
Right. Wealth means influence, doesn't it?
It certainly did then. The Quraysh didn't just get rich, they gained enormous power, prestige. And crucially, they solidified their control over the Kaaba. That cemented their position. They became the guardians of Arabia's religious heart, the dominant force.
Okay, so we've got the economic forces, the political power clustering around the Quraysh and Mecca. What about the religious landscape more broadly? What did people actually believe?
Well, the main practice was polytheism. Most Arabs worshipped multiple gods. Each tribe often had its own favorites, its own rituals. And idol worship was, very central to public life, baked into the culture and physically present in the Kaaba.
But you said Mecca drew people from all over. Were there other beliefs present too?
Yes, it wasn't monolithic at all. Other religions had definitely made inroads, particularly on the edges, north and south. Our sources mention Judaism, Christianity. Communities practicing these faiths existed. Even some knowledge of Zoroastrianism seems to have been around.
And then there were these individuals called Hanifs. They sound fascinating. Who were they?
Yeah, the Hanifs are really interesting. They represent this spiritual undercurrent, maybe. They were monotheists. They specifically rejected idol worship. They tried to follow what they saw as the original pure tradition of Prophet Abraham, believing in one God.
So even with the Kaaba full of idols, there was this strand of monotheism.
Apparently so. It suggests that, spiritually, maybe things weren't entirely settled for everyone. Perhaps a sense of searching, a longing for something more. Even if the traditional practices were dominant, maybe they didn't fill every void.
Let's shift a bit to the social fabric. The sources mention it was a patriarchal society. What did that mean for, say, women?
Well, generally, women had quite limited rights compared to men. Their status often depended heavily on their tribe and family.
And there was this awful practice mentioned, female infanticide.
Yes, sadly. In some tribes, Baby girls were sometimes buried alive. It's a really stark detail, and something Islam later condemned absolutely and prohibited.
Chilling. What about other social structures? Slavery? Justice?
Slavery was unfortunately a normal part of society then, as it was in many parts of the world. And those without strong tribal protection, they were particularly vulnerable. Slaves, outsiders, the weak. Justice wasn't really institutional, it was personal, tribal. If someone from another tribe harmed your kin, your tribe responded, which, again, could lead to those long-running blood feuds.
It sounds quite harsh in many ways.
It could be, definitely.
But it wasn't all bleak, was it? The sources also talk about values the Arabs held dear: honor, generosity.
Absolutely, that's important to remember. They deeply valued honor, courage, hospitality, generosity, muruwa they called it, this code of virtue.
And poetry. Poets were like celebrities, weren't they?
Oh, hugely important. Poets were the keepers of history, the propagandists, the entertainers, the moral commentators. Their words could start conflicts or celebrate heroes. They shaped culture in a massive way, preserving genealogies, inspiring warriors.
So a complex picture, real hardships and injustices, but also strong codes of honor and a vibrant cultural life.
Exactly. But, and this is a key point the sources seem to imply, that morality, that honor code, it was often selective. It often applied most strongly within the tribe or towards equals. The powerful frequently oppressed the poor. The rich might neglect orphans. The vulnerable didn't always benefit from that famed generosity.
So this selective morality, as you put it, was that just accepted? Were there no internal checks on that power before Islam arrived?
Generally speaking, the existing power structures, the tribal system itself, tended to reinforce the status quo where the strong dominated. While you'd have individual acts of kindness, sure, there wasn't really a widespread systemic challenge to the oppression of the weak coming from within those structures of authority.
Okay. So into this world with its tribal loyalties, its trade wealth, its mix of polytheism and spiritual searching, its codes of honor, but also its injustices, Islam arrives. How did its message, oneness, justice, mercy, equality, how did that land? Was it just seen as another new idea?
No, it was far more than that. It was seen as revolutionary, deeply challenging. The sources make it crystal clear. Islam wasn't just offering new rituals or another god to add to the pantheon. It was a fundamental challenge to the entire existing order.
Which explains the reaction of the Quraysh.
Precisely. Think about it. We talked about their power base. Islam's message of one God directly threatened the polytheistic practices centered on the Kaaba, which was a source of their prestige and income from pilgrimage. Its emphasis on equality threatened the tribal hierarchy. Its call for justice for the poor and weak threatened the established social structure and economic arrangements.
It hit them on every level: religious, economic, social, political.
Exactly. Their authority, their whole system, felt under direct attack, so their reaction was one of fear, hostility, and eventually persecution.
So understanding this pre-Islamic context, it really highlights just how profound Islam's message must have seemed at the time. It wasn't aiming to just wipe away Arab culture, was it? It sounds more like a refinement.
That's a great way to put it. A refinement, a redirection. It took those positive Arab values, courage, generosity, loyalty, and sought to universalize them, to ground them in submission to one God rather than just tribal custom. It preserved and elevated the nobility that was there, but it directly confronted the injustices: female infanticide, exploitation of the weak, tribal arrogance.
It aimed to elevate the vulnerable and challenge those entrenched power structures.
Yes, it offered a completely different framework for society based on divine guidance rather than just inherited custom and power. So this deep dive, looking at this pre-Islamic world, it shows us an environment where, for many, hope might have seemed distant, where truth felt fragmented. It really does set the stage perfectly for understanding the impact of what came next.
So you've journeyed with us through this intricate tapestry of pre-Islamic Arabia. We've seen the fierce tribal loyalties, the bustling trade routes making Mecca rich, the complex spiritual landscape with its idols and its seekers, and those deep societal challenges alongside noble values. It really feels like a world poised, maybe unknowingly, for significant change. A place where a profound shift could truly echo down through history.
Absolutely. And understanding what came before this specific context, it's just crucial for appreciating the sheer scale of the transformation that Islam brought. It really underlines the revolutionary nature of that message and maybe the courage required to bring it forth in that particular world.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, think about what stands out most to you about this pre-Islamic world. Is it the tribal system, the role of Mecca, the spiritual searching, the social issues? What elements of its society, its values, or its struggles resonate most strongly with you today? Something to consider.
And next time, we'll pick up right at that pivotal moment. We'll delve into the first revelation and the dawn of prophethood itself.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this exploration has given you a richer, perhaps more nuanced understanding of a truly pivotal moment in history.